Welcome to the History of Christianity podcast with Stephen Bedard. Please visit me at historyofchristianitypodcast.com.
Hey, do you enjoy this podcast? There are some costs that go along with creating this and some of my other podcasts. One way you can support me is through Patreon. Those who support me there get some extra resources, including a free preview of an online course I'm putting together called An Introduction to the Bible. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I post the videos to Patreon as soon as I make them, and it might be a year before the course is available to purchase. And you can watch the videos just by supporting me with $2 a month. Thanks for considering it, and please enjoy the episode. One of the most influential of the church fathers of the 4th century was Athanasius, sometimes called Athanasius the Great. He was born in either 296 or 298 AD in Alexandria, Egypt, or somewhere close by. There is some debate as to whether he was a Greek or Egyptian, as there are texts by him written in Greek and in Coptic, although the evidence for Greek is better. There's a story told about Bishop Alexander of Alexandria, who saw some children playing in the water, and in their play, one of them acted as a bishop and baptized the other children. Alexander discovered that the boy who played the bishop was a young Athanasius. Alexander commented that he did the baptisms correctly, and they were therefore valid baptisms, but warned them to stop, at least for now. Athanasius had a good secular education, suggesting his parents had some money. He was eventually invited by Alexander to work for him and to put his education to use. Athanasius was ordained by Alexander as a deacon in 319 and joined Alexander at the Council of Nicaea in 325 as his secretary. This gave Athanasius a front row seat for the fight against Arianism. Unfortunately, Alexander died within a few months of Nicaea, and Athanasius was the natural successor. Athanasius was hesitant to become bishop of Alexandria, understanding the challenges ahead of him. Despite his reluctance, he was unanimously elected bishop, being consecrated in 326, rising to the episcopate in 328. I'd love to tell you that Athanasius had a nice, calm appointment as bishop, but that'd be a lie. Athanasius actually spent 17 years in 5 exiles, not counting the times that he had to flee Alexandria from those seeking to take his life. And remember, this is all after Nicaea, when Christianity is a legal religion, and theoretically there should be no persecution. His first major conflict was with the Meletians and Arians, 2 groups that both Athanasius and his predecessor, Alexander, had opposed at Nicaea. They did not forgive their loss at that council easily, and so Athanasius was accused of mistreating the followers of Meletius and Arius, and was brought before the First Synod of Tyre in 335. Notice that this is 10 years after Nicaea. Athanasius was brought before Emperor Constantine under charges unrelated to theology, and was banished to Trier in Germany. He stayed there until Constantine died in 337, and then returned to Alexandria. Unfortunately, Constantine's son, Constantius II, renewed Athanasius' banishment the next year. Athanasius appealed to Pope Julius at Rome, and Julius declared him to be innocent of all charges. Not that the Roman Pope could override the decision of the Eastern Emperor. To complicate things, an Arian bishop named Gregory of Cappadocia was made bishop of Alexandria in 339. A large gathering of bishops in Alexandria declared for Athanasius, but to no avail. Pope Julius called for a synod in Rome in 340 and declared Athanasius and not Gregory the rightful bishop of Alexandria. But Gregory was still there. There were numerous meetings of bishops, with the orthodox in support of Athanasius and the Arians condemning him. At one point, Constantius ordered that Athanasius should be killed if he entered Alexandria. However, after some political pressure due to other circumstances in the empire, Constantius reversed the banishment. Understandably, Athanasius was nervous about coming home, and it took 3 letters before he met with the emperor and returned to his see. In 355, there was another council of bishops held, this time in Milan. Emperor Constantius ordered the bishops to adopt an Arian creed. All but a few did, which pointed toward difficult times for the strongly Trinitarian Athanasius. In 356, there was an attempted arrest of Athanasius during a worship service, and an Arian bishop was placed in the see of Alexandria. Athanasius was once more in exile. Athanasius withdrew into the wilderness, spending time with the monks and writing theological texts. Athanasius returned to Alexandria in 362, but this time Constantius was dead and was replaced as emperor by Julian, known to history as Julian the Apostate. His policies led to a revival of paganism, and Christians were put in a position of having to find some unity. Unfortunately, Julian became aware of Athanasius, and once more the poor bishop was exiled. Athanasius returned to the Desert Fathers until the death of Julian the next year. Julian's successor, Jovian, embraced Athanasius and reinstated him. Sadly, Jovian did not rule for long and was replaced by Valens, who favored the Arian party. Athanasius retreated from Alexandria once more, but was later returned to his see by Valens. Athanasius wrote many books, including the Life of Anthony that we have already spoken of. One of his most important writings was his Easter letter of 367, and that for the first time in surviving texts, the exact New Testament canon as we have it today is presented. In Athanasius' words, quote, "Again, it is not tedious to speak of the books of the New Testament. These are the 4 Gospels, according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Afterwards, the Acts of the Apostles, and epistles called Catholic, 7, of James, 1, of Peter, 2, of John, 3, and after these 1 of Jude. In addition, there are 14 epistles of Paul written in this order, the first to the Romans, then 2 to the Corinthians, after these to the Galatians, next to the Ephesians, then to the Philippians, then to the Colossians, after these 2 to the Thessalonians, and that to the Hebrews, and again 2 to Timothy, 1 to Titus, and last that to Philemon, and besides the revelation of John." End quote. There's also On the Incarnation, a deeply theological work in which Athanasius works through his understanding of the nature of Jesus, the very doctrine that was central to his life and ministry. In 373, after appointing his successor, Athanasius died, one of the most hectic and uncertain careers of any bishop. He's still considered one of the most respected Christians of that or any other age. Thank you for listening to the History of Christianity podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, would you consider supporting this work in some way? I've already mentioned Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/hopesreason. Another way is to purchase the beautiful Life of Jesus adult coloring book. Just go to lifeofjesus.ca and use the code BEDARD, BEDARD, at the checkout to get a $10 discount on your purchase. Finally, I am an Amazon affiliate, and I'd like to recommend Athanasius of Alexandria, His Life and Impact by Peter Barnes. I will leave an affiliate link in the show notes. I also hope that you'll visit me at historyofchristianitypodcast.com for other podcast episodes, blog posts, and other resources. Thank you for your support, and God bless.